How does it feel for you to be in a theater full of people after all this time?
Well, this is the first time I've been in a theater with this many, so just give me about 15 minutes to take it in. You know what, it hopefully signals safety, and that there's a new normalcy of enjoying art as a group, the shared experience,
Yep.
safely.
Yep.
I think we've done we've paid our dues. I think it's time for us to safely take care of each other and just share in those experiences, and it's really nice. It's a little overwhelming, but
We are all very, very happy to see you and share this experience.
I appreciate everyone coming out. This is really nice for me. This is really, really nice. So thank you for doing this. Thank you guys for coming out. Graham King, my producing partner, not at that time, he had this script, and it came to me, and I don't remember exactly what the process was or the steps that happened, but I remember having read it, and I got to the end of it, and it reminded me of my daughter, who I found in foster care, and the journey that I had going to find her, ostensibly. But it was a very it's a process where what you learn you can't unsee, and it's a process where you're really called to the table on your ability to parent and love when someone was born into a system that didn't see them. And what does that look like and feel like? And I was challenged enough to go, am I the best person for this child? So I thought that's why I went into this. That's what moved me at first. But then what we realized when we were filming and towards the end, it was the judgment I have had towards those whose stories I did not understand. And when I saw and learned what I learned in the process of the research for this with the women who were imprisoned and subsequently the women who were released, I realized that whatever luck I had in how I was born, it does not negate the fact that my fellow human being and my fellow female human being needs to have my voice or my protection in telling a story of their having been born into poverty in a system that doesn't see them.
You know,
Way, shape, or form that makes anyone uncomfortable. We are supposed to be reserved, we are supposed to behave a certain way, and that made me so fucking mad. And then, and then, if I had this rage, I then looked at women who have had a reason to have rage that made my rage look like inconsequential. So in the process of this, being allowed to be full of rage and anger and despair and hurt and irresponsibility and self-sabotage was such a nice relief, you know, because there wasn't a pretty dress that I had to take care of. There wasn't great makeup. There was some makeup to help what was already happening. There wasn't great lighting. There wasn't beautiful hairstyles to cover up the darkness and the imperfections. And guess what? 90% of the world has pain and rage and doesn't look like a princess. You know, it doesn't look like a supermodel. So we had to sit there, and it was actually a really nice relief to not have to live up to a standard that I realized I'd never lived up to begin with, you know.
when it came to producing with Graham King, why was it so?
You know, I was producing before I had my children, then I had my children, and I was like, I just don't have the bandwidth for it. I'd rather be home with them. But on this one, the point of view that was missing was the female point of view, and it was a female's point of view. And Graham didn't have to, but he allowed me to insert myself and stubbornly fight for what I thought needed to be said, that most people wouldn't let their lead actress do in a movie because it wasn't attractive. But I kept saying, if we get to the end result and we show a person's spirit, I think that'll be just as beautiful and loving as if you had a beautiful leading lady, which you don't, and it was really important for me to fight to not be the beautiful leading lady, because for the most part, we're not. It is smoke and mirrors. Life sucks, life is hard, and in a pandemic, I think we all really realized that. And I said, if this film could end on that one note, I think everyone who's been locked in their home will feel it.
So I saw.
We were given incredible access. I feel so I know my back is amazing. We were given access to a women's prison in Seattle, in Washington, just outside of Seattle. And we met with Nora, and our director, and I met with 4 extraordinary women who were in there for 10 years, 15 years, 20 years. And when you get to that amount, you can pretty much guess what the crime was for. But never once did I feel compelled to ask them what they did, because the women that I met were so full of hope and sweetness and kindness, and had this view of what life would be like when they got out. They had a view of how life would be better and different than what their life was like before they got to prison. And every single story of every woman that we spoke with, the women who were incarcerated, we also got to speak with women who were released anywhere from 1 year to 5 years. Every single woman had the same beginning. Every single woman had the same beginning. And that blew my mind, because the fact that they were born into a system and with no hope, the first part of their life, no hope of a parent looking at them going, you are the most important thing in the room. No one looking at them as a woman going, you are of value. They didn't exist. That they thought that they would exist when they were released from prison blew my mind. Because we all struggle every day wanting to be validated for who we are and that we exist. And it made me feel like I had wasted many years of my life with trivial things, and here they were just trying to be seen. And so the gift that they gave us of their stories and their transparencies and pain and joy and excitement about what life would be like just blew our minds, because most of the women will not survive out in the real world. They will wind up back in there just because it's too hard and they can't function. It's too much, it's too loud. The society doesn't want them. To get a job is nearly impossible as a con. You have it on your forehead. They know they can be seen a mile away.
What made Nora?
Our films, we were shooting about a month and a week or 2 weeks, and we got shut down in the pandemic. So we had 6 months of sitting in this world that we didn't know if we were allowed to pick up again. But it was oddly fortuitous for us in that we had those 6 months to edit the first half of this film to see what grew from it. Because often you go, we're making this movie, then you go, the story we thought would be really bright isn't shining as brightly as, let's say, something else. And we were able to finish the second half with the exact knowledge of what we needed to facilitate the story, which we had to do because of COVID. We had to storyboard everything. Everything was meticulously blocked out. We weren't allowed to be near anyone. So my days with Viola Davis, who you think, I want to work with Viola Davis, we're 15 feet apart.
Oh, wow.
But somehow it worked.
Yeah.
So we had to sit for 6 months in the way I was walking, the way I was chewing my nails. I bonded these teeth to the front of my mouth, so it changed my mouth, so I was embarrassed about my teeth. We had them dyed with yellow iodine, and I didn't care. It was such, and did I not care because we were in a pandemic and no one was seeing it? I'm sure. But I honestly, it was liberating. It was absolutely liberating to walk and sit and not have the pretense of being a lady, because I was a lady. I just didn't look it or pretend to be it the way that we've seen it projected.
So you actually shot the first half before the lockdown.
Mm-hmm.
So okay, so when you pick things up again and you're shooting, so now you're making the second half of the film during lockdown or during the pandemic. So normally when you make a film, you finish the take, you look over your director or DP or whoever, see them smile, you know. You don't have that luxury because everyone's wearing a mask. So what were the challenges of making a film during the pandemic?
Fear. I mean, we were all so scared. No one had a protocol. We made it up as we went. As a producer, you want your crew to go home the same way that they arrived. To be in a scene in a car, I was, Rob Morgan was there. I was halfway across the room, trying to be intimate, trying to, we would split screen it if we had to. But there was never a moment that one of us wasn't in a mask and shield while the other one was without a mask and shield. But in an odd way, that fear made us depressed. It made us scared. It made us really edgy. And for me, it was just helpful. That's how I was the whole time. So I think in an odd way, it helped keep that uncomfortable, unsteady vibe alive without having to really force it.
Well, speaking of Rob was fantastic.
If you don't know his work, please go find it, because he is a character actor and a leading man in ways that I haven't seen in a long time. I mean, I don't know, the Renaissance era is over, but he is a Renaissance man of just talent and thought and ability. He's incredible. He's absolutely incredible.
Viola Davis, talk about her.
Viola Davis. You just have to say Viola Davis, and everyone has basically the same reaction. Like, I love her. She is. Nora Bigscheid, the director. We were just talking earlier, and we were reminiscing on what that moment was like when we all imagined, what if we could get Viola Davis? And then you immediately go to the list of, we're not going to get Viola Davis, but we want someone like Viola Davis. And then you get Viola Davis. And she infuses story like nobody else can, with a power like nobody else can. She doesn't need a lot of words. She comes out of that door, she's protecting those kids, and she just lets you have it. And you are like, it was hard for me not to react like Sandy, because it's so beautiful, but it's so powerful. She has this line with her husband, this white woman's coming to her house. This white woman's invading, like, how dare you bring this woman, and how dare you have sympathy for this woman who got out of jail after 20 years for killing a cop? And when she says, our two black sons would be dead. Our two black sons would be dead. And you just listen to that and let that sit. And then you look at this white woman on her property and you understand the injustices. You just, in one sentence from her, these two beautiful boys that she has. And I was like, if you didn't understand it before, do you understand it now, coming out of Viola Davis's mouth in the scene? Like, what else do you need? And she's an actor's actor, she's a director's actor, she's a producer's actor, she's a visionary, she is a storyteller, and just to have that time, even though I was 15 feet away, as we're yelling, I'm like, what? What did you say? And I'm like, I think she said fuck you. Did she say fuck you? She said fuck you, thank you. Like, we couldn't hear each other. But I was like, just look at each other's eyes and we'll figure it out. But if you're gonna do a pandemic movie with anyone, you want to do it with Viola Davis. You are sitting, and they're such sweet people. And I'm just sitting here going, I'm gonna unleash, and I'm gonna feel so bad. But you just, again, you were with actors in a room, and you go, it was so freeing to just be ugly. Just the ugly side of myself that sits in Sandy every day, and she's not allowed to come out. My kids would go, well, we see it. But to be able to be that, and with those actors, to have them just, it was like a ring match. Like someone rang the bell, and we were just down that hallway, and Nora would just let it rip. The I exist part wasn't in the script. That was from the women I spoke to. We just kept saying, what is it that you want us to convey? And they go, that we exist. And I was like, you know, I've never doubted for a second I existed. That's a luxury, that's a privilege, you know? And so it was a really nice boxing match that we all felt that we got to have together and be really safe in the process with a German director who was looking at our country through this prism and able to see things that I couldn't even see. You know?
Of watching this film.
Entertainment, a good ride. You know, did you not see it coming?
I didn't check.
You know, judgment. We all do it. We all have it. I don't care how woke or evolved you think you are. We judge. We judge. You never know someone's story until you start at the beginning. And I like that there's two sides to all of the characters, to their pain, to their realization, to their joy, to their life. You think you have them figured out, and then you see another side, and you go, oh, okay. I was only looking through my eyes. I was only looking through their eyes. So it's entertainment. I want joy. I want reveal. I want thrill. I want, escapism. I wanted that last scene. That last scene was based on a piece of news footage that I had seen. I don't know if you guys have seen it. There was, I don't know, I should say it, I don't care. There was a man whose child had died, and he was a cyclist, and he was cycling across the United States. And, you know what I'm talking about? And he was going, you don't make me cry. It's good because it's the end. He was going to meet the recipient of his child's heart. And he gets out of the car, and this beautiful young man with a little bag and a stethoscope walks over to him, hands him the stethoscope out of the bag, and gives it to the father. And the father listens to his son's heart. And the hug and the love that you feel, and there were no words, absolutely no words at all. It was two worlds coming together. The father was white, the beautiful young man was black. And the love that this man had for his child that lived within this young man, and this young man's tenderness and sweetness for this man's grief in this hug. I said, if we can get a hug that just says it all with no words, after all this time apart, everyone being in lockdown, this young woman who's now an older woman who had to raise her sister as her daughter. How do you wrap it up? Our film started as a silent film with our lead character not speaking. I wanted our film to end in that way as well. So that, to me, if we pulled off that moment of conveying love, but being able to let go, that to me was everything, Some touching. We had so much distance, I just needed some touching.